This is Breakfast with Steve Dedant. Yes, good morning, 7:42. Shall we have a look through the headlines this morning with the writer Emma Wolfe and the editor of Spike, Tom Slater. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
To the Mail on Sunday, Emma, shoplifters, the problem which seems to be getting worse.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot on this programme about the surge in retail crime and about the police's seeming inability, ineptitude to do anything about it. Now, the government's latest plan, we know, has been huge cost to businesses over the past few years, billions cost to businesses, big businesses like Tesco and all the big supermarkets, but also smaller retail outlets that are just, you know, really seeing their profits.
Well, the idea being that the police won't investigate shoplifting, really.
They won't investigate shoplifting because it's not serious enough. They don't have enough resources. They often won't follow up CCTV images, or it's grainy, or even when in areas where, you know, local people are known to be literally walking in with impunity, filling their rucksacks with almost, you know, nick to order kind of things, you know, beer, expensive items that they can just load up and then walking off. Retail staff are getting attacked and abused and threatened if they try and challenge people. And obviously it's a very frightening situation to be in. Anyway, the government's latest idea is they're going to put ankle tags, GPS tracking devices on shoplifters, on persistent shoplifters. Given that the police can't follow up even more serious crimes, one wonders how on earth they're going to track...
How is that going to help?
Going to track them at all times.
But that's not... But they could still track them going into Tesco and filling...
And then they should follow them up. And then they should follow up, investigate them.
But it will provide, if they did anything else, it would provide evidence, wouldn't it? You were in that store at that time.
But we know that already. We have CCTV of these people. We don't have enough space in prisons, so around 5,000 are going to not, of persistent offenders, are going to not be put in prison.
Unless they're given boundaries that they can't go to, in which case it would ping when it would cross. But it would ping the system.
Well, but with GPS, it's quite labour-intensive. Somebody needs to be in charge of GPS and tracking people. Also, there's a lot of questions around. You can't just put ankle tags on people. What if they're young people? You can't just put them on. They need to be maintained, they need to be fitted and removed,
but haven't you
and
got
all
to
of that.
prove something against somebody in order to be able to put an ankle tag on?
Presumably. But also you've got to catch them first, and they're not even trying to catch them.
And if you've caught them, then charge them rather than, you know... I think this raised a lot of questions. To me, this smacks of the kind of Bibi Stockholm, Rwanda idea, this kind of, we have this big problem, we're not sure what to do, let's come up with a really ludicrous solution, like...
The wave machine, remember that?
Yes, it's that kind of thing. Or the water cannon.
Exactly, it's flashy, it gets some headlines, but at the same time, the fundamental problem is that shoplifting has been kind of almost like quasi-decriminalised, and this is a big problem. You see it going... In America, they've had tremendous troubles with this, where because you've had actually, in some cases, actually them passing laws saying we're not really going to prosecute, or changing regulations, say we won't prosecute unless you steal above a certain amount. You go to New York City at the moment, if you want to buy toothpaste, they have to get it out from behind a kind of locker. So this is what happens when you allow this to run rampant. It's not that loads of people are suddenly turning to a life of crime, it's that the very small proportion of people who do the shoplifting know that they've got a green light now, so they can run around and do it.
And our stores are not staffed by people anymore. You may have a security guard on the door, but you often have one you know, shop assistant behind the tills, and the rest of it is going to be automatic tills. So people can just wander in at quiet times of the day, fill up their rucksack and take off.
Well, I
can't see how wearing GPS tags is going to make any difference.
Well, what's the alternative? Ball and chain?
Well, now that might work.
I mean, it would work.
Yeah.
It would work.
You don't have to monitor that, you just tie them up.
Well, that would be it. I don't know.
Bring back the stocks. I don't know.
Stocks.
You've got to catch them first, and that's the point. Nobody's catching them. And you can't rely on retail staff to confront them, because that gets nasty.
It's a dangerous thing to do.
It's dangerous, yeah.
Tom, let's have a look at this tube situation, should we? Where there's allegedly been this chanting on a tube.
Yeah, so it was a Free Palestine chant, which a video which has been doing rounds on social media seems to suggest that it's being started over the tannoy, so whether that's from the driver or someone else on the train, and then people joining in. There's some images of it now on screen. And this is something which has sparked a police probe, so the British Transport Police is working with TfL to try and work out what has gone on here.
So is it alleged that the tube driver was starting the chant?
Seemingly, and it's whoever's in control of the tannoy, as it were, either that or just someone who's kind of elsewhere.
Probably the driver. I think they only have drivers on them.
Exactly. There's not guards on tube trains. And
no.
So that's the question. And look, I'm not suggesting that this person should be, arrested or anything like that. There can be a sort of overreaction. Obviously, it's not. If nothing else, it's inappropriate for a tube driver to be engaging in political chants. But obviously, the broader context is very important, because we are only just a couple of weeks past the most horrendous act of anti-Semitic slaughter, and you've got a kind of jubilant pro-Palestine chants, which obviously in and of themselves might sound innocuous, but in certain contexts are going to sound quite menacing. And whilst, as I say, people will...
I mean, you wouldn't want to be a Jew on that tube train.
I think this is how intimidating it is. And also, we're not talking here about one of the chants which has explicitly kind of anti-Semitic content.
No.
But in a certain context, it can be quite menacing. You think when Golders Green and the day after the massacres, someone scrawling "Free Palestine" over the railway bridge, that's obviously a kind of racist taunt masquerading as something else.
Yeah.
So in this instance, I'm not saying heads should roll, I'm not saying, at the very least, this individual should get a talking to if this is the case, because you can't have tube drivers engaging in call and response.
No.
You can't. That's the point, Tom. You don't come into your workplace, whatever your workplace is, and start chanting your beliefs. You know, there is a time and a place for going on a march, if you want to, or for, you know, having your slogan or your banner or whatever it is. But there's absolutely inappropriate that a tube driver should be using the tannoy to express their views on anything, really.
Yeah. No, completely.
And this is just yet another sign of how things gradually escalate if you allow them to.
And it's also a bit of an indication of... I just do find it strange that, given the scale of what happened in southern Israel, and obviously the suffering amongst civilians in Gaza is horrendous as well, and those people are always, you know, should also be considered here. But the fact that we had that happen, and people were concerned about it for about 24 hours. It was a story, it upset people, it came and went. And then suddenly the whole response was this kind of... these street demonstrations, which, as we've been talking about, have lapsed in many cases into some pro-Hamas, pro-pogrom sort of messaging. That should really concern us, I think. The fact that the solidarity for the Israeli Jews who were slaughtered was so brief, and then the kind of, oftentimes, in terms of this video, almost quite sort of jubilant.
It does seem very odd that our attention... I'm not saying it's wrong that you look at what's happening in Gaza, but the fact that it's switched so very quickly... to this being...
And that's why when we interview Israeli or Jewish commentators, they come back, in fact, almost instantly. Their first answer to whatever you ask them is to remind you of what happened 2 weeks ago. And when you are reminded, and of course the evidence now that's coming out of their investigations into that...
just of how barbaric it was.
So horrendous and barbaric. And so we do need to remember what started it all.
Yeah. Look, let's change tack significantly, should we? We need to lighten things up a little bit for you this morning. Mail on Sunday, Emma, says midweek dinner parties. It just reminds me of The Good Life and
exactly,
what were they called
Stephen.
next door?
You've taken the words right out of my mouth. Well, I chose this story because I think of you two as a real dinner party types. I'm just...
You don't, do you?
I do. I can see you both having very cool dinner parties.
I've never had a dinner party in my life.
Really? Oh, I can see you being brilliant hosts.
No,
I wouldn't know how to cook for more than about 2 people if you paid me.
But time was. What was that very famous play as well?
Abigail's Party.
Abigail's Party, darling.
Who's Afraid of
Yes,
Beginning?
that's wonderful. But
anyway,
yes, The Good Life. Who were the people next door?
It was Margot.
Margot
and Tom.
And Tom and...
Tom and...
It was Margot and Jerry. And Tom and...
Jerry.
Barbara.
Midweek dinner parties.
Yes.
They had their heyday in the 1970s, but apparently, just to get back to the story, apparently now, because of lots of people working from home, hybrid working, where you're sort of half in the office, half at home, they're having a real comeback. People are starting to order, you know, the survey says people are starting to order lots and lots and lots of food to be delivered Wednesdays, Thursdays. And they're ordering more wine and dessert. They're ordering
chunks and cheese.
Yeah, all the kind of nice dinner.
Black Forest Gatto.
I think maybe they're extrapolating wildly from the fact that people are ordering lots of wine and dessert. Maybe they just feel depressed at the state of the country and the state of the world. Anyway, chocolate eclairs peak on a Wednesday. The orders for chocolate eclairs peak on a Wednesday. So the conclusion to all this is that apparently midweek dinner parties are back.
Right.
So where are all my invitations? I haven't been invited out Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday.
But maybe it does, to throw a dinner party, or at least to be invited to a dinner party, does cheer up your midweek.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and because people aren't having to go into the office and all of that, because of a real change in patterns.
You can afford to stay out late on a Wednesday.
And they're becoming more adventurous with cooking. They have more time when they should be working. They have more time to prepare food, so they can be chopping their veg while doing a Zoom call or whatever.
I don't know that I've ever been to a dinner party. Certainly never hosted one.
But maybe we should bring them back, you know, as a nation.
I don't like it. I just want to get Netflix on and binge watch something and chill out.
Be alone, yeah.
There you go. Well, not alone. I've got my husband and the pets, but you know.
But it's better than just sort of ordering a couple of pizzas and sitting in front of the box, isn't it?
No.
No.
Not in my book.
The best thing is closing the door, locking up, making sure the outside world is gone, put the baby in bed
Sherry
and
anymore,
relax.
I wonder. You know, Sherry used to be a part of that. You'd meet up for the dinner party and
love sherry.
First round would be sherry.
Oh.
I don't think anyone drinks sherry anymore.
I do. I love sherry.
Do you?
Yeah.
There you go.
Try sherry at 6 o'clock.
Tom doesn't know what we're talking about.
But can we talk about catching out your other half, Tom, with a smart speaker?
Yeah, so, you know, there's often stories about, you know, is your smart speaker spying on you and whatever. It turns out that some people are using them to spy on their partners, fears of infidelity and so on. So 11%, according to this survey from noted pollsters Illicit Encounters, the marriage dating website, suggest have checked the Alexa playlists of their other half, looking for slow jams and things, just in case that would indicate that they were up to no good. And also checking their kind of smartwatches and things to work out if they've actually been at the gym. So an interesting application for those personal assistants, those Alexas and so on, that you might want to use if you've got some suspicions.
It's very odd that that would be a survey from a company that encourages married people to have affairs.
It's funny that, isn't it? Yeah, why would you want to encourage vigilance amongst...
What, and it's your playlist? If you play, did you say slow jams? Slow jams, I'm too old for this. But so does that mean that you're having an affair if you play slow jams?
Well, yeah, I guess the idea would be, why would you be listening to them on your own, you know, or not with you?
Why not? Because you love old-fashioned romantic music. I'm assuming that's what a slow jam is.
I know. I suppose it's grounds for suspicion, maybe not proof.
Schmooze music.
What, so if if there's Marvin Gaye on your Alexa, then you're definitely up to no good.
Maybe you just like listening to it.
You might do.
I don't know. It's all very bizarre.
I don't like... I mean, Stephen, you have cameras and things, and you're always able to look at your...
Oh, the cameras. Yeah, we've got cameras all around the
And
house.
you can check what's happening at home, and that always freaks me out, the idea of being able to look at what people coming in and out of rooms and
we've
stuff.
got trackers and things. So
I
we
know, I
know
find
where
that
we all
very
are.
You can track your
intrusive.
partner's phone, can't you? And
You can
find
track
out
your
where they
partner's
go.
phone, you can see them walking around the
We've got
kitchen when you're
nothing
not
to hide.
there.
I know, it's lovely.
Oh, if you're spying on your partner, tell us how.
Yes.
Reviews at gbnews.com.
In the meantime, let's have a spy on Craig Snell. He's got your weather.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast. I'm Craig Snell. Well, looking ahead to today, it's a much drier and brighter day right across the country, but especially so for Scotland. We do have some showers to contend with, especially across more western parts. They may at times just creep a little bit further east, but I think the further east you are, greater chance of staying dry right throughout the day. Best of the sunshine will also be towards eastern parts. Could still be quite blustery at times across the very far north of Scotland. It's here we'll probably see the most frequent showers, and for many, temperatures very similar to what we've seen of recent days, so highs reaching around 10 to 12 across Scotland, potentially up to about 15 degrees across the south coast of England. Into the evening, any showers across England and Wales generally fading away. Could see some showers just then moving into parts of Northern Ireland as we go through the course of the night. But across Scotland especially, turning quite chilly, could see a touch of frost come dawn. Further south, actually some higher cloud, just keeping temperatures up around 8 to 9 degrees. So we start Monday off on a fairly dry note across the board. Still the risk of some showery outbreaks of rain for Northern Ireland and maybe the very far north of Scotland. But the best of sunshine on Monday will be across mainland parts of Scotland, because later on in the day, some thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain will arrive into the south coast of England. Temperatures for most of us, again, very similar, around average for the time of year.
Well, do stick with us, because obviously we're going to be paying more tributes, and your tributes as well, to Sir Bobby Charlton, who sadly died yesterday, but my goodness, what a legacy he has left in all our memories.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to Harry Redknapp as well, so don't go anywhere.
Who is it? We're here for the show.
More energy this time!
Welcome to the Dinosaur Hour. I was married to a therapist.
And you survived?
I thought we were getting Hugh Laurie, second best. You interviewed Saddam Hussein. What's that like?
I was terrified. I'm playing strip poker with these three.
Oh! No, thank you.
My CDs need to be put in alphabetical order.
Are you going to be problematic again?
The Dinosaur Hour. Sunday, the 29th of October at 9 on GB News.
What you get for breakfast is something that, if we do our jobs right, you will wake up to news that you didn't know the night before.
It's a conversation. It's not just me and Eamon.
We want to get to know you, and we want you to get to know us.
From 6, it's Breakfast with Eamon and Isabel.
Monday to Thursdays on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
People in Britain, they love free speech, but they also love fair play.
I don't care if I'm speaking somebody from a trade union, from the Labour Party, somebody from the SNP. And I think the viewers like to see that actually we can challenge one another, but in a positive way.
We think we ask the questions that people want to ask, and often we ask the questions that we wanted to ask in Parliament but never got the chance to ask.
So join us every Saturday, 10 a.m. till noon on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Nightmare commute. Kick it up a gear with me, Patrick Christie's, at drive time, 3 till 6 p.m, Monday to Friday on GB News Radio. You can listen online and on DAB+, on the smart speaker app and on the GB News app. And if you've got an Alexa, all you have to say is, Alexa, play GB News. We're also on TuneIn and the Radio Player apps. From the school run to rush hour, get revved up with me, Patrick Christie's, on GB News and GB News Radio.
Tired of the usual focus-tested, pre-prepared Westminster runaround? Well, so am I.
So you want higher taxes?
Is your department to blame for this? Are you rethinking this policy? Every Sunday at 9:30, I'll be sitting down with those in power to get the truth about the issues affecting you.
Let's be honest, we've known about the cost pressures of this project for years, not months.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show with personality. On GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now then, Lee Anderson here. Join me on GB News on my show, The Real World, every Friday at 7 p.m.
I'm not eating bloody cat. Are you
delicious.
mental?
Open your mouth. OK, here comes a train. Reminds me of the scene in Singing in the Rain.
Adam, is that a good one?
Whoa!
Join me at 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
When the news happens, it happens here.
And really important breaking news.
Breaking news this morning.
On TV, radio and online, the news starts here on Britain's Newsroom.
All the biggest stories and the answers that you need from across the UK and beyond.
Join Britain's Newsroom from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News, unlike other broadcasters, isn't obsessed with the London-Westminster bubble. We think there's a nation beyond the M25, and that's why we talk about the issues that matter across the land. Join me on State of the Nation, 8 to 9 o'clock, Monday to Thursday, on GB News. Daisy's listening, and you should too.
Morning to you. It's 8 o'clock on Sunday, the 22nd of October, and today the tributes are pouring in as England's greatest footballer, Sir Bobby Charlton, dies at the age of 86. The footballing community expressing their sadness at losing one of the most beloved players of all time. We're going to be talking to former manager Harry Redknapp in just a moment.
In the Middle East, there are reports of missiles heading towards Rishon from the Gaza Strip. Our Home and Security editor, Mark White, is in Tel Aviv for us.
Well, 3 separate alerts in this community south of Tel Aviv. It is to be expected from the IDF as they prosecute their war in Gaza. They are expecting more in the way of rocket fire from Gaza.
Is the Prime Minister in crisis? After 12 months in office, Conservative MPs can now begin, if they wanted, to submit letters of no confidence. And that's the rumour that we're hearing. Here's Olivia Utley.
After 2 crushing by-election defeats, the letters of no confidence in Rishi Sunak have begun trickling in. But are we really expecting yet another new Conservative leader?
Storm Babette leaves devastation in its wake yet again, claiming 4 lives, with travel disruption continuing and workers being airlifted from oil rigs. Jack Carson is at one of those flooded roads.
3 severe flood warnings in Derby as part of